The city's Board of Corrections vice chairman calls the change long overdue. According to the draft proposal, rather than locking people alone in cells for 23 hours a day, jail and corrections staff, beginning in November, will use a so-called alternative disciplinary mode known as RMAS, meaning Risk Management Accountability System.
This has been an ongoing journey in our city to ultimately achieve justice for those who have experienced the grave and even deadly consequences of solitary confinement.
Lives lost like Layleen Polanco, the 27-year-old transgender woman whose seizure death in solitary confinement at Rikers in 2019 led to one of the highest settlements in the city's history last year, and lives like that of Khalif Browder, who spoke of his solitary confinement in 2014 to Pix 11's Corey Chambers, held at Rikers for 3 years without trial on suspicion of stealing a backpack at 16 years old. 800 of those days in solitary confinement.
I told them I wanted to see mental health, I wanted to talk to mental health, but nobody wanted to give me any type of assistance.
Less than a year after this interview, Browder committed suicide. This morning, I spoke to civil rights activist the Reverend Al Sharpton, who calls the city's reform on solitary confinement a step in the right direction.
You can confine people, but you do not have to do it against their development. We need to have correction institutions, not just detention institutions, where we just see how severe we can punish people and not restore them.
We need to get rid of solitary confinement all over this nation. So when the biggest city in America proves it can be done safely, it can be done the right way, it can be done in a way that actually encourages rehabilitation, I think a lot of others will follow.
Still, legal advocates have concerns.
Concerned that the rule spends, one page ending this regime of punitive segregation, but 40 pages creating a new scheme of isolation.
New York's Legal Aid Society is not buying it just yet. Staff attorney Kayla Simpson saying that instead of totally eliminating the practice of solitary confinement, the so-called new reforms seem to simply rebrand it under the guise of safety.
Isolation does not work. Did not work for Khalif Browder. It did not work for Ms. Polanco. It doesn't keep anyone safe, including the staff in the jails.
Now, the board's announcement begins a public comment process to get feedback from families, staff, and advocates, with a final vote on the rules in the spring. Now, the plan is for the new rules to be in place come November of this year.